Welcome, everyone, to the 19th episode of the 792 Florida Sports Podcast. I am Hunter Williams, and I'll be going over the state championship recaps, our college football bowl predictions, special announcement, which we'll get to later in the show, as well as our updated playoff projections for the NFL. But without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started with the state championship recap. We already went over last week with the 1 through 3A, but this week we're going to hit on the final 5 games on the recap. The 4A state championship, Miami Washington was able to get the pretty tight battle win over Bolles 25-21. Bolles was able to hang in this game for a very long time. A few late mistakes and turnovers ended up costing them that game. And it was not the only Miami team to walk away with the state championship this week, as there was a bunch that came away with it. We already had Champagnat Catholic win 2A the week before, and we had a total of 4 other Miami-Dade teams that were also walked away with a state championship for this season. And with one of them, we'll go ahead and get to Miami Northwestern, who knocked off Orlando Jones 34-17. Again, it was a pretty good game overall. In fact, I believe this game was tied 14-all at halftime. And in the end, Northwestern was able to pull away. Solid win for Northwestern over a very game Orlando Jones team. And that was 3 championships in a row for Northwestern. So congratulations on the three-peat, and they'll come back to defend their title next year in 5A. 6A state championship. I know I picked Escambia in an upset, and they really let me down. Miami Central came in and completely shredded Escambia, and believe they ran for over 500 yards in this game, if the stats I remember correct. Miami Central gets the win, 62-27, to get back on top for the first time since 2015. And that'll be they get to the top of 6A. With Northwestern Carroll City both leaving 6A, opened the door, and they burst right on through. 7A state championship, which might have been the best game overall of the weekend. Aquinas held off Orlando Edgewater 28-23 to claim an undefeated season and the 7A championship for the first time since 2016. In this game, Edgewater was driving late down the stretch, only to throw an interception on the final play in the end zone after driving to about around the 30-yard line of Aquinas. So Edgewater definitely hung in this game, and was impressive with the way they did it, but they just didn't have enough in the end to get by Aquinas. And the 8A state championship, Columbus knocked off Apopka in a 1-point thriller, 21-20. So that ended up being Columbus' first state title in school history, and they get a little bit of redemption from the 2014 state championship where Apopka beat Columbus. And Columbus also lost the state title last year to Jacksonville Mandarin. So this was Columbus' first win in several tries. I believe this was their 4th attempt at a state championship and their first win. So congratulations to Columbus program on finally capturing the big one. All in all, you had 7 of the 8 state championships coming from South Florida, with 2A from Champagnat Catholic, Chaminade Madonna in 3A, Miami Washington in 4A, Miami Northwestern in 5A, Miami Central in 6A, St. Thomas Aquinas in 7A, and Columbus in 8A. And if we look back at it, Pahokee was 1 point away from beating Madison over in Boot Hill. Had it not been for that game, we very well could be looking at those 3 South Florida counties walking away with all 8 championships. So congratulations to South Florida on a very dominating weekend between Tallahassee and Daytona in the state championships. They look very good overall. So yeah, congratulations to y'all. Y'all definitely earned these tough wins. and in some cases, complete blowouts. Also, we released our final football poll for the season. We ranked the top 100 teams in the state of Florida. Definitely check it out. We posted on our Facebook and Twitter. We'll try to see about getting uploaded to Instagram later on today. Even though it'll be slightly delayed, we'll also try to get our boys and girls basketball polls up there as well. Obviously, I'm not going to list all 100 for the poll, but I'll go ahead and just go through a few of the team. I'll just go through the top 25. At number 1, we had St. Thomas Aquinas, who finished 14-0 and won the 7A title. At number 2, we had Miami Northwestern, who went 13-2 and won 5A. At 3, we had Edgewater, who was the 7A runner-up and went 13-2. Obviously losing to Aquinas in the championship and lost to Marietta earlier this season. Marietta won 7A in Georgia over Valdosta Lowndes. Number 4, we had Miami Central, who went 12-3 and won 6A. At number 5, we had Miami Washington, who won 4A at 12-2. Columbus at 6, who went 11-4 and won 8A. Tampa Armwood in 7A, who went 12-2, losing to Edgewater in the Final Four. Lakeland, who went 12-1 in 7A and lost to Armwood in the regional finals. Orlando Jones, who was the 5A runner-up, who went 13-2, losing to Northwestern in the finals. Apopka, who went 12-2 in 8A and lost to Columbus in the finals. Deerfield Beach, who's in 8A, went 10-4, and they come in at number 11. They lost to Columbus in the Final Four of 8A. American Heritage Plantation comes in at 12. They went and lost regional finals in 5A to Miami Northwestern and finished 10-2. Number 13, Chaminade Madonna, went 12-2 and won 3A. Number 14, Lakewood, went 12-1 in 4A. Their only loss coming to Booker T. Washington in the Final Four, who won state. They also defeated 1A state champions Madison County during the regular season. 15, we have Gulliver Prep, who lost in the second round to Booker T. Washington for their only loss, and Booker T. went on to win state. Gulliver in 4A went 11-1. Palmetto is at number 16 in 6A. They went 12-2, losing to Miami Central, the eventual state champions, in the Final Four. They also lost to Lincoln earlier in the year. Wakulla comes in at 17 in their 5A. Their only loss came to Orlando Jones, the 5A runner-up, in the Final Four. Cardinal Gibbons, who is a 4A team and coming at number 8 and 18 overall, they went 10-3, losing to Booker T. Washington in the regional finals. Number 19, Vero Beach, 11-1, and they went in 8A. They ended up losing to Deerfield Beach in the regional finals for their only loss of the season. Western in 8A went 9-3. Miami Palmetto 10-2 in 8A. They lost to Western in their a second round playoff game. Barton Trail 11-1 8A, and their only loss came to 8A runner-up Apopka. 23, Scambia from 6A. They went 14-1 with their only loss coming to Miami Central in the state championships. Atlantic Delray in 7A went 8-4. They lost in the regional finals to St. Thomas Aquinas, the eventual 7A state champions. And rounding out the top 25, Rockledge in 5A, they went 8-2 they were an 8-1 regular season team, and they fell in an upset to Chamberlain in the opening round of the playoffs. For those who want to see the rest of our poll, just check it out on Twitter, Facebook, and later on we'll have it on Instagram. Also, as we stated, we released our first girls and boys basketball polls for the season. You can check those out on Facebook and Twitter. I'll also get those uploaded to Instagram later today. Obviously, most of the teams we're definitely going to also keep doing this week to week, just so all our viewers know that. But there's not really much else to say about it. But definitely check the poll out on Twitter and Facebook. If you have any suggestions or questions about how we did the rankings and such, feel free to shoot us a message. If you feel that we are somehow missing a team or ignored a team, feel free to make your case and justify it. We'll definitely take feedback into account from all potential sources. So if you feel we missed on something, don't hesitate to let us know. And now we're into the college football bowl season. There's a lot of bowls we're going to hit on. We'll go ahead and give you our picks. Buffalo versus Charlotte, we're going to take Buffalo. Kent State versus Utah State, we're going to take Utah State. Alcorn State versus North Carolina A&T, we'll take Alcorn. Central Michigan versus San Diego State, give us San Diego State in that one. Liberty versus Georgia Southern, we'll take Georgia Southern in this one. Florida Atlantic versus SMU, we're going to take SMU Mustangs to win this one. Arkansas State versus Florida International, we're going to go with the home team in Florida. We're going to take Florida International, led by Butch Davis, the former Miami coach, to get his a bowl win for Florida International. Boise State versus Washington. Give us those Boise State Broncos in this one. We're going to take them over Washington. Appalachian State versus University of Alabama Birmingham. Give us those Mountaineers of Appalachian State. Marshall versus UCF. Give us the Central Florida Knights. BYU versus Hawaii. Give us Brigham Young to get the win. Louisiana Tech versus Miami. Once again, we're going to rock the home state team. Give us the U. Give us Miami over Louisiana Tech. Eastern Michigan versus Pittsburgh. Give us those Pitt Panthers as they knock off Eastern Michigan. North Carolina versus Temple. Give us those Tar Heels. Give us North Carolina. Michigan State versus Wake Forest. Give us Wake Forest and another win for the ACC. Oklahoma State versus Texas A&M. Give us Oklahoma State, led by one of the best running backs in the country. He's going to lead them to victory. So give us Oklahoma State. Iowa versus University of Southern Cal. Give us the Iowa Hawkeyes. Air Force versus Washington State. Give us Air Force. Notre Dame versus Iowa State. We'll take the upset. We'll take Iowa State to knock off the ranked team in Notre Dame. Penn State versus Memphis. Definitely give us the Nittany Lions as they knock off Memphis. We're definitely taking Penn State. Western Kentucky versus Western Michigan. We're going to take Western Kentucky. Shout out to Roger Cray, former Columbia player who's playing for Western Kentucky. You're going to get the win. Louisville versus Mississippi State. Give us Louisville. California versus Illinois. We're going to say Lovie Smith's going to play. He's going to coach for a big win here in the bowl game and probably coaching for his job. Or he's potentially doing so. We'll get Illinois the win. Florida versus Virginia. We were going back and forth on this game a bit. And in fact, at one point I was leaning Virginia. But give us the Gators to get the win here. Kentucky versus Virginia Tech. Give us Virginia Tech in this one. Arizona State versus Florida State. This is a tough one, honestly. But I'm actually going to lean Arizona State to knock off Florida State, and I believe that'll be our only pick for our Florida team to lose in bowl season. Kansas State versus Navy. Give us the midshipmen. Give us Navy. Georgia State versus Wyoming. We're going to go with Georgia State here.